Good afternoon. Good afternoon, family, friends, my supporters, and my haters. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in for another episode. And the reason I thank the haters is because if they tuning in, YouTube counted as a view. YouTube don't separate haters from supporters. So if you're a hater and you still watching me, even though you hate me, thank you, because you're helping me just like my supporters. Thank you. Today is still Sunday, May 12th, Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful mothers out there. Even though a lot of men hate women, they forget that y'all are mothers and we wouldn't be here without y'all. So I want to say thank you. And you are appreciated, if not by anybody else but me and your children. You're appreciated. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day. So, even though it's a happy day for mothers and what have you, and their kids celebrating them, cooking them breakfast, or what have you, or cooking for their mother on this one particular day, and then tomorrow they'll be right back bugging y'all, mama. But hopefully today it's a good day for y'all. But I'm kind of finna dampen your spirits a little bit. Not just mothers, but everybody. I was born May 23rd, hint, hint, 1972. Birthday coming up soon. Hint, hint. And I got my first job. I got a summer job. It was JTPA, whatever you call it, Job Training Partnership Act. JTPA through the government, what have you. When the government was kind of looking out for people. So they had what they call a summer youth working program where once school was out, once you hit a certain age, I think you had to be 15 years old, you could get summer jobs for the summer, help you with your school clothes, stuff like that. So my first job was one of those jobs. And minimum wage at the time was $3.35 an hour. Back in I graduated in 1990. I got my first summer job in the 10th grade. I was in the 9th grade going into the 10th. So that would be like 1987, around that time, when minimum wage was like $3.30. Y'all saying minimum wage bad now. It was $3.35 an hour. In the late 80s, almost 90s. And then in the 90s, they went up to like $4 and something. $5, whatever. So y'all think $7.25. I don't know what the minimum wage is right now. I haven't made minimum wage in years, but I know it's like $7 and some change, right? So back during that time, when I had my summer job, making $3.35 an hour, and then it went up a little bit after that. It went up to like $4 something by the time my senior year in high school, which was 89, 90. It was like $4 and something. I think Bill Clinton was the president. Or was it? Or was it Bush? Anyway, it was around the Bush Senior / Bill Clinton era. And I remember, whoever the president was, we were still fucked, put it that way. It was around Bush or Clinton, somewhere up in there. It wasn't Reagan, because Reagan was when I was in elementary school. I remember he got shot. So, anyway, the minimum wage was low. I worked 40 hours a week, but I was living with my mom. I brought home $135 a week after taxes for 40 hours. Couldn't tell me nothing. I would go to the mall, buy my little clothes, hit TJ Maxx, what have you. That back when TJ Maxx had polos and good stuff for the low. I don't know why it was so cheap, but you get the good stuff. It was like a little thread might have been off on. Y'all know about TJ Maxx. They ain't like that on this clothing. TJ Maxx trash now, but you just go to TJ Maxx and load up for your school clothes back then. So I was living with my mom, bringing home $135 a week, somewhere up and down. No, every 2 weeks. My bad, we got paid every 2 weeks. And the check was like $135 every 2 weeks. Somewhere up and no, it was $185. Somewhere up and down, almost $200. Cause I was working 40 hours a week for the 80 hours times $335 an hour. So that was gross like $250 somewhere up in there. I was gross for 2 weeks. I would bring home like $185, $190 for 2 weeks, which would be almost what, $95 a week. Bring home after taxes. But I was a kid living with my mom. That's good money. I ain't had no bills. Go buy me a little clothes, bought me a boom box, one check. With the big old speaker, walking around with the my radio. Believe me, I like it loud. Y'all remember? My age. Y'all know what I'm talking about. During that time, right? So I remember thinking, dang, I make $335 an hour. There were people making. I found out there were people working for the post office, this, that, and other places was making like $20, $25 an hour. I remember thinking, boy, them folks rich. $25 an hour. You know what I can do with that? Cause back then, people making $25 an hour were driving big Mercedes-Benz, big BMWs, the red brick homes in the subdivisions, big pools in the backyard with the slide off into the deep in the pool, built-in swimming pool, fenced-in backyard for $25 an hour. You were living high off the hole. If you made $25 an hour back then, the Scott Paper Company folks, International Paper, you working at the plant, at the chemical plants, places like that, you making $25 an hour. Especially somebody you ain't like went as a doctor or lawyer or something, somebody with a job, you making $25 an hour, you were a doctor or lawyer, man, you was balling. And I remember thinking, boy, if I could make $25 an hour, you know what I can do with that? I'm set for life. That was my thought process back then. Because back then you was. I'm like, man, I'll be set for life, boy. Ooh. Think about all the as a young man, we talking about, we ain't calling women, think about all the holes I have. Boy, I'm gonna call young and stupid. That's when the first thing I'm thinking about, how all the women will be knocking down. But I'm gonna have some in the hole. I'm gonna have that. We're gonna be having parties and pool parties. We're gonna be blah blah blah. We're gonna be balling, me and my homeboy. Cause I'm gonna get all my homeboys on the job. That's how I thought. Fast forward. May 12th, 2024. The same $25 an hour. If you make it out on the job right now, you broke as hell. Hold on, y'all. Yep, my friend, you're part of the working broke. Now let me repeat that. I graduated high school 1990. $25 an hour, you was balling. I mean balling. I ain't talking about just, a little bit. I'm talking about balling. I remember the rent my mom was paying. We were living in a 3-bedroom house, big fenced-in yard, whatever, you know what I'm saying, down in the what we call the bottom. Had a fence in the yard, had a dog room in the back for a dog pen from a dog. 3-bedroom house. Front yard, backyard, all that. $200 a month. So just imagine your rent, $200 a month, and you making $25 an hour. Well, you living in a time where you can get a 3-bedroom home for rent for $200 a month. Now that wasn't the average, it goes up, but our neighborhood, we live in a black community, so throw that in there too. So $200, I might say, damn, 3-bedroom, $200 a month. I was living in the black, but it wasn't no dump, it wasn't no slum, it was a clean, good black people, put it that way. It wasn't no niggas, good black people. And $200 a month, You go outside. It was safe to play outside. Kids running around riding bikes. All that great time. And we paid $200 a month. I remember looking at the rent receipt one time. My mama paid the rent. It was $200. And I remember thinking, boy, that's a lot of money. Yeah, I remember thinking $200 was a lot of money. At that time, it was. But people, you know, the money people was making, cool. And my mom was on fixed income for my dad's Social Security when he passed. You know, I was raised by older people, so she wasn't working no more. And by the time I made it to high school, she had long been not working. She was old, you know, older. I was but anyway, I told y'all this story before. So $200 a month rent for a nice house in a nice neighborhood. Not a gated community or nothing like that, but a nice, crime-free, good neighbors, good kids outside playing, good school district, Murphy High School, bus right in front of your house for the school bus. I go right outside and wait for the bus. Beautiful. $200 a month. So just imagine what $25 an hour did for you back then on a full-time job. You was balling. Like I said, big brick home in a gated community, or nice, beautiful, big subdivision. The $200,000-$300,000 house, the $500,000 house y'all buying now, were probably about 80 grand. $100,000 house back then, you lived, it was a mansion, damn near. $100,000 for a house. Now $100,000 won't get you a hovel. Like I'm not coming to America, Harlem Nights. I'm living in a fucking hovel. $100,000 won't get you a hovel nowadays, if I'm saying it right. Y'all don't talk. Go watch Harlem Nights. Detective, whatever his name, the crooked cop. So, fast forward, here we are now, 34 years later. Somebody who was born in 1990, you're 34 years old now. You're not even old. That's not old. You young. And here it is, that $25 an hour. If you making that now, you broke. You working broke. You struggling. You just getting by unless you living with your parents, not paying no bills. But if you're a responsible adult out here with a family, kids, what have you, taking care of yourself, not begging, living off the government, what have you, you struggling. With $25 an hour. The money I once said in my lifetime, I'm not 80, 90 years old back in the 30s and 40s. I'm talking about the 90s, 2000s, the 99 and 2000, cash money taken over, doing in. Here we are, a few years later, in that same $25 an hour. If you got any type of responsibility or bills, you struggling. Let me break it down for you. Just say if you're working a 40-hour job, which a lot of these companies if they ain't trying to let you do no overtime and all that, especially if you're making $25 an hour, unless you're working at a plant or construction site, something like that, and you got a big contract and plenty of work and you're short on workers, so they need you to work as much as possible. But other than that, they trying to cut your hours to not getting no overtime. Y'all know how most jobs, they don't want you to get no overtime. So you're making $25 an hour times 8 hours a day is $200 a day. 5 days, because you ain't getting overtime, $1,000 a week. Now, overtime will go up a little bit more, but we averaging the average worker is not getting a lot of overtime. Now that you might want overtime, can't get it. So, that's $1,000 a week gross. Now, with the tax code that we got now, unless you got 10 dependents or you claiming, I forgot what you call it, you don't, had the money coming out. I'll think of it in a minute. Cause I used to do it a lot. I ain't had no kids at one time claiming 10 dependents or claiming whatever, so I wouldn't have the money coming out of check. I was struggling and like, what the fuck? Get your check, the tax is killing you. Now here Mr. Biden, who y'all black folk love and Democrat, he jacking it up even more, right? The tax rate. So now you're grossing $1,000 a week with $25 an hour. So that's bring home anywhere from $600 to $750 a week, depending on your tax setup. $600 to $750 a week out of that $1,000, what you bringing home. In that range. $600, you can gross $1,000 where you making $25 an hour. I remember bringing home, if you were bringing home $600, you balling. Because people, the average pay, people were bringing home $150 to $200 a week. Some, up and down, 40 hours. So now here you are, $600 to $750 a week bring home, depending on your tax bracket. Unless you somebody who claiming where you ain't letting nothing come out your check. You trying to get your whole check and you end up skint up doing income tax time. You're paying them folk money back. So if you ain't doing that, you bring home $600 to $750 a week in your tax bracket. Now, just say for I live in an apartment. I pay $1,200 a month rent. $1,200 a month for an apartment in low cost of living, Mobile, Alabama. That's just rent. Now with that net that I told y'all about, you averaging like $2,600 to $3,000 a month bring home for a month. No, $2,400 to $3,000 a month. If your taxes you bring home $600 a week, that's $2,400 a month. You bring home $750 a week, that's $3,000 a month. Now let's do this bill breakdown, just the basic stuff. Now I'm in low cost of living, Mobile, very low cost of living compared to the rest of the country, and I pay $1,200 a month rent. You got places around here. Now in Mobile, I seen a friend of mine who he's a real estate investor. He got house rental properties and stuff. He rent out. He be wanting like $1,600, $1,700 a month rent. And what they'll do, they'll go put it on Section 8 or something like that. But if you ain't qualified for Section 8, $1,600, $1,700 a month rent for a decent house in a decent neighborhood, unless you're able to get a home or mortgage or something like that, you might be a little better. But even with the mortgages in a nice home nowadays, still $1,200 or better in a nice neighborhood, even if you're buying the house. That's just rent or mortgage, $1,200 plus out of your $2,400 to $3,000. That's just going to high end. That you bring home $3,000 a month. That's your $25 an hour with no overtime. Now, there was no overtime. Overtime, going to change that number, but not for much better. Cause you ain't, 9 times out of 10, you ain't getting overtime every week. And they're gonna be the exact same amount where you can count on that number being that. It's gonna fluctuate. So we doing averages here, $3,000 a month. $1,200 in rent or more. Rent or mortgage. Out of $3,000, you got $1,800 left for the whole month. Say you got a car and your car ain't paid for. A cheap car note nowadays is like $250 to $400 a month. That's a bucket. That ain't including insurance. Just the car itself, we just gonna say $400 a month out of $1,800 that you got left after you paid your rent. Now you got $1,400 left. If you're a man with child support, that number there gonna have you at like $150 a week, somewhere up and up between $100 and $150 a week child support out of $1,400. Now you got $1,250 a month. You ain't bought no food, no gas, no clothes. You ain't went nowhere. Talking about going out having a social life. If you got a girlfriend, none of that. Maintenance on your car breakdowns, your savings. If you happen to have a 401k, you can forget that. So basically, after you've paid all your expenses, I ain't talking about living half the hog, just average life. Just with those basic expenses. I ain't talking about any other thing you might be having to pay. Because you got utilities also. Oh, I forgot about utilities. What about your light, gas, water, all that? So to break it all down, Of $25 an hour. If you ain't getting buku overtime, what have you. If you ain't living with your mama or parents or whatever. Or like these women talking about they ain't going 50-50 on no bill with no man. So you out here trying to pay all the bills by yourself. Cause you refuse to go 50-50 with a man, and you can't find a man cause $25 an hour ain't no money no more, so he can't pay all the bills by himself, and you don't want a man to like going 50-50 on the bills with, so you want a man gonna pay all the bills, so therefore you buy your damn self. As a woman, or as a man, trying to pay all the bills by yourself. And you probably ain't making $25 an hour. I'm talking about the average worker out there ain't making 25. You lucky to be making 25. You doing good. The average salary now they like $12 to $15 an hour. We talking about 25 an hour is broke. And that's a good salary. Nowadays. Supposed to be. Used to be. So just on the $25, we ain't talking about folks making less than 25. You in poverty. If you're making $12 to $15 an hour, you got a family. McDonald's, all them folks out here fighting to get $15 an hour, you still gonna be broke at 15. In this economy, this society, if you ain't got a bunch of side hustles and you ain't no hustler like moi, if you ain't no hustler, you effed. In case y'all don't know what effed means, you fucked. If you ain't no hustler, a grinder, a go-getter, well, you ain't talking about no one job. Just you know this ain't gonna work. $25 an hour is broke nowadays. If you're a responsible adult. Do the math yourself. A lot of y'all making that kind of, and y'all know what I'm talking about. I make $25 an hour and I'm still struggling. I ain't talking about me. I ain't telling you what I make, but I'm just talking about people making $25 an hour. Know just what I'm talking about. Or even if you're making less than that, oh my God. $20 an hour, $17.50, $13. I be looking at these jobs on the billboards and help wanted sites, whatever. And they be happy to throw in $13.50 up there an hour like they doing something, and wonder why folk don't want to work no more. I'm seeing it. $25 an hour is pretty much like the old school minimum wage. When I was growing up, the buying power of $1,000 a week after whatever your taxes are after that, the buying power of that ain't no better than $12 an hour or $10 an hour back when I was in high school in the 90s. We in trouble. That's why I preach over here, hustler. We hustling, baby. I'm a hustler. No handouts. No help from the government. None of that. Go getter. I grew up with a mama who sold what they call frozen cups, candy lady, hustler. To where the other neighborhood kids thought we was rich. We in the same poor ass neighborhood the rest of y'all. Only thing made us different with my mom and my pops was hustlers. My pop had a pickup truck. He would haul people back and forth from the grocery store, take you to the grocery store, haul your furniture around, help move you because he had a pickup truck. Hustlers, side hustles. I saw this coming up. I'm spreading it on to y'all because y'all ain't seeing this no more. I saw my pops with a pickup truck riding around. I saw him barbecuing, selling barbecue plates. My mom was a candy lady, sold beer, sodas, freezer cup we call them. You name it, my mom and dad was hustlers. Plus they got the little income from work or whatever, retirement, what my dad had. He was a retired longshoreman. Balling. Not balling, but living good in the regular neighborhood with the other people that wasn't hustlers. But we live in the same neighborhood because we wasn't rich. They thought we were rich because I had, not a Nintendo. I got an Atari 5200 when it came out. I got a ColecoVision when it came out. The video game. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Back then, that was big shit. Y'all don't know what the hell I'm talking about, not ColecoVision. With Donkey Kong that looked real. Like the real Donkey Kong that you go to the arcade and play. I was the little kid in the neighborhood that got those type of things, because my folks was hustlers. We wasn't making them more than other neighborhood folks on the income wise, but that's why they got out and hustle. We was the candy lady, Frugal Cup lady. The man haul you back and forth to the store. You pay my dad for a ride to the store and get your groceries, all that type of stuff. Instacart before Instacart. That's where I get all this hustling from. Even though I got older, I hustled some illegal, stuff, but it was still the same principle. I was a hustler, still a hustler. You gotta hustle, baby. $25 an hour ain't shit no more. These jobs ain't paying you enough no more. Hustle. Get it? Got it? Good. Bye.